Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Week in Review. Okay, this Week in Review is going to be pretty lengthy. We are at the midpoint of the course, Module 4. I'm going to be having three different components to this Week in Review. At certain points, you may wish to exit, depending on what your status is at the college. First, we're going to talk about the normal Week in Review, what we're doing for Module 4, a little bit of recap on Module 3, kind of getting the normal fare. For the second part, I want to talk to you folks that are graduating. Anybody who's graduating this spring, not summer, not fall, don't care about that. Only who's graduating this spring. I want you to hold on for part two. That'll be kind of quick. And in part three, I want anyone who's in the HCA program, not all of you are, some of you are in nursing, some of you might be in rad tech, some of you might be in medical imaging. The vast majority of you are probably in HCA, but I want you to hang on to part three. Of course, the rest of you are welcome to hang on to part three. I alluded to some very special changes, fantastic changes with the HCA program. One of the students said, "Hey, Chris, you're going to talk about that," and I never did. I wanted to talk about it earlier in this class, but so here we are. We're going to talk about the great changes that are happening for HCA. For those of you that aren't graduating this particular semester, and if you are, congratulations, you're graduating, you're out of here. But let's start off with our regular week in review and take a look at kind of what we're doing. First, I'd like to kind of do a callback to Module 3. Fantastic performance on the midterm. You guys did really, really well. The vast majority of you did fantastic. We had even a handful of perfect scores on the midterm. So I think we're doing really, really well. And for those of you who maybe didn't get quite the grade that you were hoping on the midterm, don't be despondent. There is still, you know that this course, there's a large majority of points, through topic essays, through case studies that you can get that, the math-oriented stuff is only maybe 20% of the content of this course. You can still do very well in the course. And as you have probably noticed from some of the math assignments, if you're giving me good process, you're giving me showing your work, you're getting some credit on those problems too, even if you don't have the right answer. So don't be despondent on that. But overall, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job on the midterm. I think we are absolutely on track in what we need to be doing and learning in this course at this point as a midterm as our indicator. Now, the also the homework, the learning activity too. I was amazed. I mean, you guys really knocked it out of the park on the learning activity. Again, many of you had perfect papers, and those were not easy calculations. So great job on that. Did receive an overwhelming response on the homework help that you guys liked that. So we're definitely continuing with homework help on Wednesdays. So look for that Wednesday series coming out. Again, I'm not going to go everything in the homework, especially if it's kind of the definition stuff. You don't need to do, that's you can look up in the book. Um, but the more math stuff, I'm definitely going to try to touch on in the homework help, which comes out on Wednesdays. So great job, Module 3. Great job in Module 3. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back. All right, this week we're moving on, right? You've heard of stocks. We went to bonds. Now we're talking stocks. Okay, you're going to be focusing. We've talked a little bit, little indications of stocks as we've been introducing like time value money. But now we're going to devote a whole module to equities, which is stock. We're going to have our normal readings and presentations. A lecture is coming out today. This is Tuesday. I'm having a lecture on the valuation of a constant growth stock. That'll be a little over 30 minutes. I have another lecture coming out on Wednesday. Sorry about the delay on the lectures, but you have plenty of lecture today to go through. It's going to be about 30 minutes long, and then another one along with homework help on Wednesday. Topic essay this week. Well, let's just jump into that. We're going to be focusing on one of these essential concepts I hope you never forget when you leave this course, and that's risk and return. So again, a really important topic there. Let me just go back to this real quick. If you're not getting the grades that you like on the topic essay, I noticed that there's some of you that aren't doing following the 5-paragraph essay format. Make sure that that's a format. That's an actual thing. not just 5 paragraphs. It's a 5 paragraph essay. So Google that. It's typically an introduction paragraph, 3 supporting paragraphs, and a conclusion. You kind of want a somewhat of cohesive paper, that you're reading. You're introducing a topic, you're supporting the topic. You might be talking about, um, these various these questions that you're going to be kind of addressing within those supporting paragraphs. And then you're going to have a conclusion. You might have a little bit more information in that conclusion because that's okay, but then you're going to conclude your topic in that final paragraph. So make sure you're using the 5 paragraph essay format. If you don't know what that is, Google it. There's a million things out there on 5 paragraph essay. Also, make sure that you are using full paragraphs when you're writing. So there's a lot of stuff to address in here. You're most likely going to have paragraphs that will have 5 sentences in there if you're kind of addressing all the content that you need. So think of it like this. It's 5 for 5. You got to have 5 paragraphs with about 5 sentences each. 2 sentences in a paragraph isn't a paragraph. I guess maybe you could maybe do it, but I wouldn't risk it. So it's usually not a developed paragraph. So, and plus you got so much content to squeeze in. You need almost everything you can out of a paragraph. So check yourself. Make sure before you turn it in, are my paragraphs fully developed? So that kind of was some of the grammar and communication stuff that you'll be seeing that you saw in some of the rubrics for the last topic essay. But overall, you guys are doing a great job also on the topic essays. Some of you have some really, really solid APA and writing and communication skills. So great job with that too. Learning activity, we got some questions, 1 question and 2 problems. Again, the lecture should help you out with the learning activities this week. Remember to show your work. If you are using, some of you do use JPEGs, just make sure that their pictures are nice and clear and big so I can read the JPEGs. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. So we got our progress journal, our second progress journal. So hopefully you're appreciating that. I think it's a great way to talk. I appreciate that. I appreciate learning about what you're doing and seeing how you are doing in your class and other classes, and what you might need help with, or whatever these thought questions, these prompts are for the week. Of course, we can talk about anything else that you'd like to talk about in the topic essays. And make sure you're checking out that audio feedback. I gave you all audio feedback for our last topic essay. So our last, I should say, progress journal. So make sure you're checking out that audio feedback. All right, I think that pretty much concludes what we're doing for the module 4. We'll just double check here. Yeah, all 4 items. Also, the other thing that's going to be due is we started it in Module 3, and that was that case study. It'll be due in Module 4. I'll have a Dropbox in the course news later on this week. I wanted to give you guys some time to soak in all of that Module 3. I know it can be very dense material. Have you process and go all the way through Module 3 before attempting that case study, and then having some time to do that. Some of you finished it last week, which was great, and we're wondering, where do I submit it? Well, you'll submit it this week, but you got some extra time. Put some extra polish on it. These are some substantial points in there. And just make sure that you're following, again, good critical thinking. You're applying as much as possible the information that's in there, using some of the terminology that you've learned. I'm really looking for application of some of these concepts that you've learned. I'm going to be looking for that in these case studies. So not looking for the perfect answer. I'm looking for application of information, of concepts that you've learned. Okay. All right. So that concludes kind of our week in review, the normal week in review. Now, hold on. Don't hang up on me yet. We got a part 2. So part 2, I want to speak to all of you folks who are graduating. Okay. Anyone who is graduating this spring, not summer, not fall, don't care about that. Folks that are graduating this spring. I'm going to have a link to a discussion right below this video. So check out that link. All I want you to do is say, hey, I'm graduating in that discussion. So I've identified the individuals who are graduating. Then you and I will have a kind of a little group discussion as far as how we're going to conclude this course. Because as you know, you have less time in this course than everybody else does. I think we may have 6.5 weeks, maybe 7. I don't know. I got it written down somewhere. But you have less time, and we're going to have to conclude this course a little bit earlier for you. Sorry about the rest of you, because the rest of you are going to be continuing. You'll be still doing work, and they'll be have already received their diplomas. But someday you'll be there too. So and you'll get that little early bit. All right, so that's the part about graduation. So now at this point, so all of you have held on to this point. There might be some folks who wish to check out and hang up on me. If you're not in the HCA program or maybe the HCA minor, you may want to go ahead and check out because I've referred in the previous course that I've had with some of you. I talked about new and exciting changes that are happening within the HCA curriculum, and I'd like to talk about that. Student was saying to me, "Hey, Chris, when are you going to talk about that?" Like, oh, I wanted to talk about that in week 2, but module 2, but never got to that. But we're going to talk about that right now. So let's take a look at the new and exciting changes that are happening with the program. These are the biggest changes that have happened in the program in over a decade since the program was brought online. So basically, what we are looking at is a complete revamping of the curriculum. Now, for those of you, you're like, oh my God, don't change things on me now. Do I need more credit? You probably saw immediately, oh my gosh, 39 credit hours. No. For you, you're grandfathered. All of you are grandfathered. Anybody coming in the fall of 2017 will be under what we call the new curriculum. You will be still kind of progressing along with the uh, revised, freshened curriculum, but you will only be required to have 33 kind of core professional hours. You still have the other stuff, the general education coursework, but this won't change your plan of study. This won't change the courses that the number of courses that you need, the amount of credit hours, that should all stay the same. But what we've done is taken a look at each course and see how it's aligning with kind of future trends within healthcare, freshening up some of the language with our courses. So be careful. Many of you already noticed this because you've already scheduled for your summer and fall courses. So you probably noticed that the course names have changed and course numbers. So be a kind of cognizant of that. We have gotten rid of the BUS designation. That is now gone. It's all HCA. All of our courses are healthcare administration. What does that mean for you? What that means now is that all of our courses are taught from a healthcare perspective, which we already had a huge percentage taught from a healthcare uh, perspective. Now all of them are. That is very unique. I couldn't find any other program in the country where their core professional courses were all taught from a healthcare perspective. And I think that speaks very well to our culture, our cultural DNA, our institutional excellence in what we do here, which is healthcare education. So, you'll see how other HCA programs, but there'll be a bunch of business courses and there'll be like 2 healthcare courses. These will all be pure healthcare for perspective. Even our human resources class, which I know we interject right now a lot. For those of you that had that, we have a lot of healthcare in there, healthcare, HR. But technically, the course didn't need to be taught from a healthcare perspective. We've just pushed it along that way as we've been going. It can be taught from a pure human resources, very generic perspective. Well, now that's going to be hardwired in the course. It can't change. It's going to be a healthcare administration, human resource management, and healthcare organizations versus human resource management. So hopefully you can see the difference. Like when I was going to school for my baccalaureate, I had a HR, but it was generic. It was spoke to kind of everything within a kind of generic industries, whether it's manufacturing or service or retail, it was all kind of the same. This one is specifically healthcare. So again, we've been kind of doing this along, but now some of it has been actually hardwired into the program. So that's very unique. So be aware again, the numbers have changed. The alphas, the designations are all HCA. Economics, for example, has gone from HCA 224 to HCA 420. So that course is now represented as a 400 level baccalaureate course. And you're probably going, yeah, about time. For those of you that have had the economics, you probably felt like it was a 400 level course, and it really probably was a 400 level course. We're bringing it up to that level, keeping that uh, where it probably should be. So we've got, and again, some names changes in here with fundamentals of healthcare economics. You could probably see that somebody may not even notice the name changes. I go, I take my econ class. Well, then you find it. But there is some name changes in here. For example, and I won't go through all of these, but the probably the biggest change is the HCA 430 Management Accountability in Healthcare Organizations is now quality improvement and patient safety. The Probably around 60% of that content has remained in quality improvement and patient safety, but we have added a lot of other, I guess, different approach to quality management within that course. So that course has kind of changed probably the most significantly out of the courses that are in the old curriculum and that have been revamped under this green area into what you will be required to take. Now, you also notice that, as I mentioned, the program has gone to 39 credit hours versus 33 credit hours. Again, don't worry, you are grandfathered. You only need to take 33 credit hours. You can map out course for course what you need to do, and you'll be done. The reason, just a little background, why it was increased to 39 credit hours. Well, I felt that there's some essential content we would like to give you. New courses that have been added are in organizational behavior and in population health, some very important areas. We touch on those within the old curriculum, but now they have standalone 3 credit hour courses, which I think they do deserve. They need that full in-depth exploration of those topics. The other thing that allowed, I guess, me to do this was many of you in your plans of study have electives because you need 120 credit hours to graduate with a baccalaureate degree. Well, after you've taken all of your general education coursework that you had to take, and you've taken all of the curriculum, the professional curriculum, those 33 hours, and we transferred your entire associate's degree in, you still didn't have enough credit hours to graduate, and this was the vast majority of students. They had to take we had students taking 9, even 12 credit hours of elective coursework. We tell them, take anything you want. More religion, more psych, more soc, whatever. Just take college level coursework now because now we need to get you to 120 credit hours. Well, I'm sure the religious studies instructors would love having you take more religious studies classes, but I felt it was important to have more meaningful content for students to have. And why do you come to us? You come to us you're looking for a career advancement. You're looking for becoming a manager, becoming a supervisor. Doing that administrative component within healthcare. And though some of those other electives are very important and enlightening classes, I think what your objective is and what we want you to have when you graduate would be enhanced with additional professional core courses and still have students graduate at or around 120 credit hours. Even with this plan, with the 39 credit hour plan, I'm anticipating a majority of students will still need 3 credit hours of electives, which isn't bad. Now, the um, students sometimes come into our program. You might be a student who maybe took a program, switched programs, did another one for your associate's degree, and have like 90 credit hours or 78 credit hours. You have a credit hour surplus, and even though we transfer all those credit hours in, um, it's hard to get somebody to graduate at 120 when they come in with a large surplus. Students who come with us with the typical student who has an associate's degree, who didn't change majors or programs within that time, usually comes into us with about 65 to 72 3 credit hours, right in that range. Those folks are going to be graduating pretty much right on the nose at about 120, maybe 122, 123. So that is perfect. That's exactly where we want to get them, and that's with the new enhanced curriculum. All right, but that's the other guys. That's the guys that are coming in the fall, but I just wanted to give you an explanation of why that's happening. Here's what it can mean for you. Again, you're grandfathered. You can follow this map through and continue on with your courses. I believe we kept all the courses in the same, pretty much the same time areas that are they've kind of historically have been. Even added some course offerings too, so that are be coming up in the fall and the summer. But again, make sure you work with your advisor to make sure you can, if you have a target graduation date, that you can make that target graduation date. But you got your map here of all your courses that are going to, what the new ones are, old ones, new ones. Okay. But you got some options now, some things that you can do. One, look at your plan of study. If you got a lot of electives in there and you're like, oh my God, I got to take 9 credit hours of stuff they told me to do because I'm one of these people who just has a lot of electives to take because I need to get to 120. Now you can swap out some of those electives with our 2 new courses. Okay, so I'd really consider doing that. You're not forced to, but you can. You can still take additional religion or again another sociology course if you wish, as long as you completed your core curriculum requirement. But you might want to look at swapping those electives out with this extra coursework right down here. Also, what you can do too, and contact Mary, your academic advisor. But let's say you go, oh wow, that population health course looks awesome. I really want to do population health. Again, this all starts in the fall, not summer. Here's what you can do. Let's say you have economics. Maybe you don't want to do economics. I will allow a waiver that you can swap out this economics course for population health. As long as I guess the theory is, as long as you're graduating with 33 credit hours of HCA coursework, you are going to meet our programmatic graduation requirements. That's one of the, remember, there's multiple graduation requirements. You got to meet the professional coursework, right, which is 33 credit hours. You got to meet the general education requirements, the other stuff, the Englishes, the religion, etc. And you got to have 120 credit hours. You got to get across all 3 finish lines. So this extra, these extra choices in here, you can kind of, swap them out. See Mary, and I'd be happy to sign that waiver for you if you wanted to do that. The essential curriculum I still think is a good idea. I would, the map out of, I would think, let's say for example, HR. Okay, I would really, you really would want to have HR to graduate at. So think of if you were to swap out one of these kind of fundamental bread and butter courses that a manager is going to need. Um, be careful. I mean, I'll let you swap out whatever you want, but like HR, for example, just know what you're doing. If you're going to get rid of the human resource class and say, I really want to do population health instead of human resources, just keep that in mind. Now, like I'll pick on, the economics class. That is really good for your foundation as a manager, and we're steadfast. That's going to be in the program that's in the new curriculum. But I could see some folks maybe wanting to swap that out with population health or with organizational behavior. Those would be fine. So there's classes that I call like tier A, essential elements that a manager is going to need. There are certain tier A classes. Finance is one of those tier A classes. The human resources is a tier A class. The legal and ethical or healthcare law and ethics is a tier A class. So kind of you know true pillars, and then of what a healthcare manager is going to be. And then there's kind of the supporting lattice work of that manager, the economics, the information systems. Those can come in to support your development as a manager. Just be careful if you are swapping out one of those pillar courses that you know what you're doing. Okay. Um, so there we go. There is that explanation of what we are doing. Again, you might want, again, talk to Mary if you do want to do any changes. Make sure you are working with your academic advisor throughout this entire process. As always, that doesn't change. That's always been my message. Work with your academic advisor, making sure that you're on target for your graduation, whatever date that might be in the future. All right. Well, hopefully that's very excited about the new curriculum. I think it's pretty future proof too, though I wasn't expecting the, I guess, potential of a titanic shift in the Affordable Care Act when I was looking at developing these courses. But I did want to make them future proof, knowing that healthcare is changing at a rapid pace. I just hope it wasn't going to change like a complete, 100% within 9 months. But even if we did have a change, these courses um, are will adapt to I think any future changes as well without um, too much difficulty on our end. And that's good for you because we want courses that will adapt to as things are constantly changing within healthcare. All right, well that concludes part three, and thank you for hanging in there with me on this. If you do have any questions, you can always address me directly, but especially for questions regarding any of the changes you might want to do with that, with your own personal plans of study, please contact Mary. All right, thanks everybody.